friends. This is my first time doing Facebook Live. For those of you who don't know, I've been studying finance in school and am particularly interested in personal and home finance. So I wanted to share a quick budgeting tip. I feel like money is such a taboo subject that a lot of people don't like to get help or admit that they're struggling, or maybe they just don't know where to start. So what better way for me to give unsolicited advice than Facebook Live? And by the way, nothing that I'm going to tell you is new information or complicated at all. In fact, a lot of what I've learned I've taken from this book, which I highly recommend. My mother-in-law gave this to us shortly after we got married, and I loved it. It's called How to Debt-Proof Your Marriage by Mary Hunt. Mary Hunt also wrote a book called Debt-Proof Living, which I haven't read, but I assume it's the same idea, only not in a marriage context. My husband and I have been living debt-free for a long time, and the freedom that it has brought us has affected me so much that I really want to jump in and help when I see others struggling financially so that they can enjoy that freedom too. And before you attribute our success to a large income, let me tell you that we've been living on one modest income for many years to allow me to stay home and finish school and raise our children, and that was very important to both of us. And we made lots of sacrifices to make it happen. My husband gave me permission to share that his first job out of college, which was a step in his career path, he was making $19,000 a year. And also it might be helpful to note that we actually pay 10% of our gross income to our church in donations. So we come home with even less money at the end of the day. So if we can do it, you can do it. So here's my little budgeting tip, and it's just a very small portion of the method that we have used to manage our finances over the years. A lot of people argue that they're unable to stick to a budget because their expenses change every month. And you'll have to forgive my ghetto visual aids here. I'm obviously not talented with graphic design or anything. I just hope they don't show up mirror image to you. So for example, each month we have our predictable bills. We have our mortgage, utilities, insurance, phone, and loan payments. These are just a few examples. So these amounts don't change, or if they do, they change very little. They're very predictable, of course. The problem arises when we try to deal with these unpredictable bills, which are things like clothing, car maintenance, travel, birthdays, incidentals, which are things like shampoo, toilet paper, light bulbs, printer ink, and so on. So these amounts change every month. Some months you might spend a lot on clothes, and some months you might spend nothing. Your car, you're going to spend amounts randomly throughout the year for oil changes, tune-ups, registration, car washes, and you never know when your car is just going to break down on you. So the rest of these happen throughout random times throughout the year. So the trick is to turn these unpredictable bills into predictable bills. And I always like to use car maintenance as an example because it's just the perfect way to demonstrate it. So let's say that you know from your receipts or your bank history that you spent $1,200 on maintaining your car in 2016. And if you don't have a paper trail, or if you're just getting started on keeping track of your spending, you can just come up with a realistic estimate. But let's say that you spent $1,200 in 2016 on car maintenance. So we might safely assume that you're probably going to spend at least that amount the following year in 2017. It might not be exactly that, and you don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but you do know that those costs are inevitable. So we turn this unpredictable amount into a predictable one, of course, by dividing it by 12 months, which of course equals $100 a month. So now you can pay $100 for a car maintenance payment each month right along with your predictable bills like your mortgage and utilities, and it won't ever change. You can physically put it in an envelope each month, or you can have a separate checking account for it. We have a bunch of these envelope accounts that are all together in a lump sum and a second checking account. And I have an app called Envelopes that keeps track of the breakdown of each account balance for me. Mary Hunt, who wrote this book, she calls it a freedom account. and it contains all the little sub-account categories. And the best part is that later on, down the line in June, say when you need new tires or something, you've already saved up $600 in your account, and it's allocated and ready to use, so you don't have to go run into that credit card to rescue you. So you treat these mini accounts just like a checking account. I'll show you an example here. Sorry, the window's doing some glares, but let's go like this. Okay. So in my example here, you have a good 4 months of saving before the car needs an oil change or something. So you take out $44 out of that $400 that you've already saved up, and now you're down to $356. And then in May, you just continue on with your savings so that you still have more money for the next time the car breaks down. So it really leaves you feeling a lot less stressed to know that there is money set aside specifically for your car when it needs maintenance. It's the same idea with the other unpredictable expenses. Christmas is a great example too. If you're putting aside 1/12 of your ideal Christmas budget each month, you have the extra money you need come Christmas time, and then December becomes just another month of regular bills instead of the charge the credit card and get into more debt month. And obviously this isn't a new idea. The envelope method is pretty popular, but it's easily applicable to a lot of different categories and helps you keep your monthly bills exactly the same every month. This group of mini accounts is supposed to be completely separate from your basic savings account. In an ideal situation, you should have a good contingency fund of about 3 to 6 months worth of money available for emergencies or the loss of a job. These accounts will help you avoid even dipping into that emergency fund when your car breaks down or when Christmas comes along or something. Now I'll give you some examples of some of the other sub-accounts we have in our Freedom account. Dave and I each have our own personal allowance accounts. Of course, we have one for Dave's soccer leagues that he plays in. We have one for Christmas and one for the holidays besides Christmas. We have an account for entertainment, a home furnishings account if we need a new piece of furniture, if we want to save up for a TV or something. We have one for sports and activities for the kids, membership fees like Costco and the Children's Museum. We have one to save up for a child-free vacation for Dave and I. And then each of our boys have their own accounts where we keep track of the money their grandparents have given them for their birthdays and such. I actually thought this was pretty fun to set this up, and it's a bit eye-opening to realize that if you want to save up for something special, that's fine, but it's going to cost you X amount monthly added onto your regular bills. And there are 2 other reasons that I found this to work really well for us. Number 1 is that you can leave the guilt behind. If you see a sale and you want to go clothes shopping and you know that you have several $100s in your clothing account, go for it. That's what it's there for. And the other reason it works well is because when you can see that there's only a small amount available in that clothing account, for example, you're going to be a lot more careful about how you spend it and look for the best deal possible. So your money tends to go a lot farther. So that's it. So I hope somebody was able to use that information. If you have any questions, you can post them below, and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. And happy saving!